Welcome back to part two of the Lana Turner, Johnny Stompanato deep dive into the mystery of this murder. So, no intro for this one, guys. We're going to jump right in. And the first video went a lot longer than I thought it was going to. So, we'll jump right in. And I want to remind everybody, I still have my $99 Memorial Day sale going on. I'm still an ambassador for Otter Spirit. So remember that link is only going to be up for a month. We're just trying that out. And I don't know if anyone has purchased anything yet. I didn't check the list. So either I'm a great salesperson or I'm not a great salesperson. We'll see. Just to remind you, Otter Spirit is an intentional jewelry company. You can shop by your sun sign. You can also shop by intention, crystal. I am enjoying this Cancer vulnerability pack. I'm really having a great time with it. It is a great energy. I'm getting a lot of compliments out in public too. They're genuine crystals. They are certified. They've got a great exchange program. If you don't like the crystals that you get, the beads come in small and medium, and they also have necklaces and earrings. So jump in there, go give them a shot, and maybe you can balance out some of your chakras. So let's talk about this trial. So the trial, the public verdict versus the private truth is really going to be our focus here. So was justice served or was the story managed? So a little bit of background on this. Cheryl was never formally charged with a crime. The coroner's inquest ruled it was a justifiable homicide. The case closed very quickly amid widespread media frenzy. Could you imagine if we had the internet back then? Again, I'm going to point you to the Diddy trial, which we're getting ticker tates on that. Too bad we can't get that televised. In recent history, in memorable history, we had the O.J. Simpson trial, which was going on when I was at university and was quite the focus for lots of people. Lana gave an emotional testimony in court and was highly publicized. That was highly publicized later, and highly publicized and later dramatized in films. Many speculated that Lana coached Cheryl to take the blame for this. In the last reading, if you didn't go see it, check it out up here. I did discover that there were some feelings on the part of Cheryl. I do think that she was kind of minding her own business. I said I heard a yelping noise, and that was really what inspired her to run to the aid of her mother. Did the legal outcome reflect what actually happened? Queen, oh, I'm sorry, guys. I didn't bring the cards up. There's one card, and there we go. So Queen of Cups, first thing, legal outcome. Did it reflect what actually happened? Make sure you hit that like button. The Queen of Cups there. Judgment in reverse. The Moon. Three of Cups. There's that tribe card and the Empress card. These kept coming up in the last reading. I do think Emperor in reverse. I don't think that Lana coached her daughter to do this. Hey, on April blah blah blah, you're going to run in and take care of business when you hear some raised voices. I don't think that that's what happened. I think the discussions, the casual discussions, or maybe not so casual, maybe emotionally laden conversations that she had had with her daughter, Perry relationship, Perry fight with Johnny Stompanato in general, I think really, I don't want to say conditioned her daughter because that sounds like it was really purposeful. I just think that it influenced her daughter, not in a constructive fashion. If that makes sense. That makes sense to you guys. I think this kid witnessed a lot and really felt like her mother was in grave danger in that moment. I do think that. And I think she resolved to go and solve that problem in a matter of protecting her. So that is really what I think, guys. I don't think that we can say that Lana had planned this out with her daughter. I just don't think that that's quite the reality that we have here. So there are some things behind the surface, and I think that that was the slagging up, bad mouthing of Stompanato. Were there pressures from the studios or publicists or even the LAPD to resolve this quickly and quietly? Let's see if there were pressures from studio heads. Three of Swords. The Sun in reverse. Yeah, Three of Pentacles. There was a lot of workings behind the scenes here. Yeah. And I do think in a certain fashion that this was geared up to protect not only their asset, Lana Turner, celebrity, but it was also to protect this child that was in the mix, which is unusual because usually studio heads are just about the money. But I do think that there was some pressure from the studio to protect Lana, protect Lana's daughter. Was the LAPD in agreement with this? Two of Swords. I think yes and no. I think the Two of Swords tells us that there were differences of opinion on whether they should play with the information and push the case to close. Definitely some differences of opinion, but I think that a higher up, some of the brass, that's our magician right there, said no, we've got to shut this down. Kid's a child. We got to get this done, and we don't want to open this can of worms. We do not want this can of worms opened up. So Cheryl's confession, was it truth or protection of her mother? Did she tell the truth? I don't even really have to pull cards on this, but I'm gonna. I do think that it was the truth, but I think there was a lot. Oh, we got two cards there. I think there was a lot of emotional confusion on her part. I think she was very deeply confused, very churned up, not because of what happened, like I hate to be like that, because of her actions, like she did not have the emotional capacity to process all that. So the magician in reverse, a lot of the information was missing, and she just couldn't remember it from the whole trauma of the situation. And here, this Four of Cups, she wished it never happened. It was far more than she was capable of processing. We have the Seven of Pentacles and the Ace of Cups. Where is my world going now? This is a poor thought on what happened. Where am I going now? Unfortunate. How did Lana feel after the verdict? How did she feel after the verdict? What was her emotional state after the verdict? Four of Wands, finally peace at home. Peace at home. How did she feel about Cheryl's involvement? Three of Wands, Four of Pentacles, and the Knight of Swords. She would have done anything to protect that child. She would have lied, begged, borrowed, stealed, even murder. She would have done anything to have corrected that situation. Would she have said she did it? No. And I think, why did she not take the rap for Cheryl? I don't think that she could. I think Lana Turner was smart enough to know that she really couldn't fake the evidence. I think the state of what her child was in was very difficult to um, conceal from the authorities when they came. I think Cheryl was in quite an emotional state. But I also think that there was some concern about retribution from other organizations for doing that. I think there was some concern about that. Being a woman, I think she was a little bit worried that, maybe they would come after her, but they wouldn't come after a kid that was defending their mother. That's what I think. That's what I think. So, some confusion there. Some confusion. How did this moment affect Lana spiritually? How did it affect her spiritually? Seven of Pentacles. I'm getting that if he wasn't such a jerk, this wouldn't have happened. If he wasn't such a cad, this wouldn't have happened. And I do think that it released her from, and I don't know if she married after she had relationships after, but I think it released her from the pressure of partnership in a sense. So I think it made her a little bit of an interesting person in terms of partnership moving forward. I think it really made her a standout. I hate to say empowered woman, but I do think that there was some level of empowerment spiritually to her to be a solo practitioner, so to speak. Very, very interesting. Very interesting. So we'll talk a little bit more about everybody else a little bit later. How did Cheryl feel after the trial? Now, remember, she was never formally charged with the crime, but how did she feel after the trial? After the ruling, I should say, after the ruling, I believe it was. King of Wands. Six of Swords, got her life back. Four of Pentacles, stripped bare though. Eight of Cups. She knew this was going to dodge her for the rest of her life. She also knew that it was going to be very difficult to cultivate professional relationships, those kinds of things. It just didn't seem realistic to put on your resume, hey, yeah, I am that girl that was in the paper. I am Lana Turner's daughter. It just didn't seem practical. I believe she's a writer and a real estate agent, or that's what she did professionally. A real estate novelist. Yes. Thank you. But stripped bare, the level of privacy in her world was gone. This was something that would stick to her forever. Very similar to like Casey Anthony. Casey Anthony is never going to dodge her backstory. It's never going to happen. So whoop, cards everywhere. Was Cheryl's emotional healing from this ever really complete? Look at that. Eight of Pentacles. Six of Swords. Yes. So she did throw herself into work. The Eight of Cups on the bottom. Seven of Wands. Devil in reverse. Six of Wands. I do think that there's a little bit that still eats at her. But for the most part, she has crafted a world in which she can function. Let's put it that way. So let's look at some of these questions. So after the dust, spirit world reflections. So let's talk about the spirit world, guys. So Lana Turner passed away in 1995, but her image remains that of a glamorous but tragic Hollywood star. Cheryl Crane was born 1943. She's still alive. She's a writer. She's an author and a real estate agent. She did come out at 13 and has published memoirs detailing her life and trauma. Thank you. Johnny Stompanato is more remembered for his violent life or violent end than his life's work. Not even sure what his life's work was. How does Lana's spirit reflect on this event now?
Was the sanitation?
You might have been. We're not talking about it. Temperance in reverse. 3 of Pentacles, 6 of Cups, Page of Cups in reverse. She is sorry that her daughter had to contend with this moment. 6 of Pentacles. She does watch over her. I will say that. Though I think her daughter has trouble accepting messages from the spirit world. I think she's a little bit blocked off to that, and that's a protective process to deal with the emotional trauma of what had happened. But Lana is sorry in spirit form that her child lost her childhood as a result of this, and it was the result of Lana's choice as a partner. She does, because of the future that would have been born of that relationship, she is grateful that they avoided that. I think it would have been far worse. And I do think it was one or the other was going to have to go. So I think at some point, potentially we could have had a larger tragedy that may not have been as clear cut, if you know what I mean. Winking. I think there may have been an interesting turn of events had Cheryl Crane not taken the situation into hand. So will there be a karmic situation moving forward? Will there be a karmic situation moving forward with Stompanato? Fortunately, yes. He is a major player in her karmic development. So yes, I do think that there's going to be another experience with them together, if not already happening now. I think that situation has to work out until the 3 of them can get along peaceably. I think they're going to have repeated events. So that is unfortunate. What would Lana say to Cheryl now? If she could reach out to her, and if Cheryl was receptive to that message, what would she say to her now? That the actions of one's youth are not always the foundations of our adulthood. Some would dispute that, but this is the message from Lana Turner to her daughter, that this action did not define you. And I think she is glad that she has not lived as though that situation had defined her. She is very more closed off from people than her mother would like. I think Cheryl is very discerning about the people that she allows into her world. Could that be because of the result of the circumstance in her mother having a poor partner? Poor meaning not quality, lack of quality partner. I don't know how to say that. And I think her mother would have liked to have seen her collaborate and work with other people in her life a little bit more. I think she would have liked that. 10 of Swords, 10 of Swords is 10 of Swords. She is regretful. So it may be because of the emotional process that Cheryl had to go through. And the psychic protection that she had to give herself, not allowing too many energetic forces into her life. We do see people that are very limited in the friendships that they keep or the people that they are affected by. It really, sometimes you have to kind of do that. So Let's jump on over to Johnny and let's see what Johnny has to say from beyond. What does Johnny's spirit want to say now? 70 some odd years have passed, I believe. It was 1954. Holy moly. What does Johnny have to say for himself? Four of Swords, I'm not done yet. Nine of Wands, I'm biding my time. Strength, more patience. 10 of Wands, he didn't get the final word. 6 of Cups. 4 of Cups, I do think with that 6 of Cups, we have some redeeming qualities here. Putting the passions, the excess of passions in the past. I think this lifetime that passed was very much a lesson in curbing one's enthusiasm, curbing one's excess of passion, excess of emotion. I think it did do that. The 6 of Cups in reverse, I do think he's going to try better. I think he is not regenerated yet, though. Why do I think that? Because the 4 of Cups is there. I think we're still trying to figure out how we come through on the other side. While we're talking about this, how about Lana's spirit? How is Lana's spirit going to be receptive to this? Queen of Pentacles, she still wants to be the boss, guys. She still wants to be the boss, but I think in the next circumstance, she may not be equipped to be the, lack of a better word, top in the relationship. I think there is still some residual resentment toward Johnny's spirit. I think it will be a very interesting reincarnation for them. I think he will be contrite and trying to bridge the gap between their two spirits. And I think she will be a little bit of a bitch on wheels. I can't really put it any other way. I think she will be a little bit of a bitch on wheels. So does he express remorse for this situation? Does he have any remorse for this situation? The Moon. 7 of Pentacles. What do we got? Judgment in reverse. Yes. What would he have rather seen? Knight of Wands, King of Pentacles, and Knight of Swords. I think he had a little bit of a trouble keeping his tongue in his mouth. Let's put it that way. I think, he said what he said and he's not going to regret it. He would have rather been suave and sexy, boyfriend. He knew that he should have treated Lana more like a jewel and treated the people around her, specifically Cheryl, more like a Juliet. But I got a mouth on me. I got a mouth. I can't help it. I got a mouth. I say what I say. I'm Italian. I say what I say. I say what I mean. I say what I feel. So I do think that. I think he does give a lot of license to his culture and upbringing in terms of his flary passion. So as someone who has a great deal of Italian in them, I totally understand. So what else? So when can we expect this couple to return? Oh, immediately I got, they're waiting for Cheryl. Cheryl's got to recycle too. Sorry, I hate to be like that, but 4 of Swords, we're waiting. 4 of Cups, Cheryl is the equation that they have to wait for. So impatience, waiting for her. Once she, and I'm not saying she's going anywhere anytime soon, but once she recycles, then they'll kind of sort out the when and where they're going to be. So curiouser and curiouser. So let me know what you guys think about this reading, about this murder. What are your opinions about the situation? Do you think that Lana actually did it and asked her daughter to take the rap? Do you think that Cheryl actually did it because there was something else going on? Let me know what you think in the comments. Also, $99 sale is still going on. Please book. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Share this video. Have some fun with it. We are cruising through our Diva week. And don't forget to go over and look at that community post and do the poll and let me know who you would like Friday to be focused on. Friday is fan favorite. I want to do a video that you guys pick the topic. So it's going to be a diva, but you guys pick the topic and I will see you all in the future.